Happy Friday. Welcome to the show. Happy Mother's Day weekend to one and all. If we have any mothers with us, tell you what, Mother's Day snuck up on me this year.
Vince, that's not a good sign if you're saying that's right
Well,
2 days before.
all shopping is done. I did my shopping a long time ago. There was a particular item I wanted to get for Christmas, and it was on like back order till like February.
That's a good. Put it in the box.
Turned it right into Mother's Day, baby, and took the kids out last weekend, so they got their stuff last week. So man, like rolling.
Solid plan.
This is the first time I'm done at this point. I'll be really honest with you. So in 17 Mother's Days or whatever it is, 18.
Interesting. Salty said the show dropped with no countdown.
Whoa. There was a countdown.
I was going to say there was a countdown on our end, but there were some technical. Was that when you and I were together the other day, Vince? There were some technical things going on.
I'm going to check over there right now and see if we're live and in charge.
That's always weird because then
Tommy said it started hella late. I mean, it's only 4 after right now. So
yeah,
we started 3 after. We've been on for.
We were in the green area. I mean, and I wasn't here with me. It's this guy. Got home late from work. But I did sit down and there was an empty chair from one of the other 2 people. I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus.
Well, I had time to get water because
we were waiting on somebody. So he said, well, I'll just go get some water.
This guy. So it was me. It was me. It's this guy.
And Jesse is he's here in town. He's in another room in the old Steyer's abode. But, as you can tell, he brought his animals with him.
I hear that. It's funny. He mutes himself, but we can still hear it on your end.
Didn't even think about that. Well, anyway, happy Mother's Day weekend. Everyone who's here, hit the like button right now. Beat the algorithm.
Do it for your mom.
That's right.
Mother's Day.
That's right. By the way, there's talk. You know, we start this Friday show at 5 o'clock. Mm-hmm. There's talk that the show could be moving up an hour across the board every day of the week. So,
I mean, we're not fans of the rumor mill.
File into the chat. You might give us your opinion on that. Do you like that? Do you not like that? Do you want it 5? Do you want it 6? Might not matter because it might come anyway. But
but we will still field. Yeah, we'll still field it.
Yeah, exactly. All right, ton of stuff to get to as always today. So let's just jump right into it. The Athletics' Ari Wasserman did an ACC football overrated, underrated article this week. Which do you have a bigger problem with? That Wasserman says Notre Dame is overrated as a top 5 team, or that he'd included Notre Dame in an article about ACC football teams?
No. You go, Vince. No, you go.
All right, I will go. It's funny because as I was reading the question, I was thinking to myself, why do I give a crap about ACC football? And then I get to the end where it says Notre Dame is overrated. And I was like, okay, Notre Dame's always overrated. Like that's just okay, fine. Notre Dame's always overrated. We hear it every preseason. Fine. I don't even doesn't even faze me anymore. Okay. But the fact that he did include Notre Dame in an ACC article, I think I have a bigger problem with that. They're not in the ACC for football. They were for 1 year because there was a global pandemic and Notre Dame was just busy putting on their cape and saving college football. And so they joined a conference. Other than that, they're independent, baby. Do not put them in the same sentence as conference opponents. No, sir. I don't like it.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat as Vince. I don't really care about the overrated thing. And you could make the claim that they are overrated because what have they, what national championships do they have? What big bowl wins do they have? What big regular season wins do they have? Like you can, Clemson, yeah, whatever. But like you can make the case that they're overrated. And I think that's going to be the narrative until they win a national championship. So like that's all fine and dandy. But I agree with Vince. They should not be, they are not in the ACC and the ACC shouldn't get basically a credit or accredited for Notre Dame's hard work and success. Without Notre Dame, those quote unquote ACC numbers would look worse. And so the only reason they include Notre Dame is because it helps out, their image, their brand, and their likeness. And so honestly, it's like Notre Dame's kind of being exploited, in my opinion.
Notre Dame being exploited. That's never happened before. Never. Like
Did you see?
No one's ever used Notre Dame for clicks. I mean,
did you see that guy just completely walk? He went on a show, and walked back pretty much everything he said.
Yeah, because I was going to say, if Notre Dame's not in some rando's top 30, then how can we expect them to be, in the top 5, right? So
that rando has never been more popular in his life.
And that's the thing. I still think that it was completely intentional that he did that. I still think that he had to know what he was doing. The fact that he was going to leave Notre Dame out of the top 30. It'd be one thing if he left him out of even the top 20, maybe top 30.
I think it was he wanted to get it. To me, it was like the perfect combination. I have friends like this. They don't want to admit what Notre Dame is, where they're at. And so you kind of combine it with, hey, can I get some clickbait? And then can I fuel a little personal agenda I have here? Because I doubt if you asked him, I doubt he likes Notre Dame. That has to play into it as well, right? And so I think you get the combination of how can I be spicy of, getting my dislike for Notre Dame combined with, some clicks or some likes. And I think that was the perfect combination for him.
It was crazy how much attention he got for an egregious error. I will say that. I mean, I agree with Sean. I think he was looking for a little something there. There's no way he could have predicted the firestorm that came his way and all the attention that he ended up getting. There's no way he could have predicted that.
Right. Because he got a lot. But again, when you look at the criteria that he tried to use initially to defend himself, and then the fact that he didn't apply any of it to to any of the other teams that he included in the top 30. But then I wasn't going to, I kept on scrolling. I know he had a video and he tried to rationalize himself in the follow-up that he did today. There was no way I was going to watch the video because, again, it's like, I'm not going to give you the engagements. It's like I kind of read his thing and just kept on scrolling by.
But I watched the video. I couldn't help myself.
Couldn't help it.
I could not help it. And he basically said, well, I would probably have him in the top 5, but I need to see Riley Leonard. I need to see
you would have him in the top 5, but you left him out of your top 30.
No sense. He's like, I just don't know what to do with him. So I just didn't have him in at all.
Yeah.
That makes no sense at all. None.
Yeah. And as for this Wasserman thing, again, you can, like the question that we had, he says Notre Dame is overrated as a top 5 team. And I can see that. Like, I think that I think top 10 is reasonable. There's a case that, for them to be overrated as a top 5 team.
That's fine.
No doubt about it, even though they've got a top 5 defense. And the question is going to be what happens with Riley Leonard? Just how good is the offense going to be? But Jesse's double fisting the dogs right now. But the fact that he included him in an ACC article, it was like, again, just the same thing. It's like, okay, you use Notre Dame because based on, even though he didn't have, Notre Dame in the headline of this article, he said ACC football, and I just happened to click on it. But if you were going to search Notre Dame in the Athletic app, it was going to bring up this article. So It was going to lead you to and that might have been how I actually found it. But it's just the exact same thing. He's just using Notre Dame to gain entry into this article by including them in there. But they have no business being in an overrated, underrated ACC article because, as you said, with that very lone exception, Notre Dame is not actually a member of the ACC. So I think we all have a bigger issue with that. So there's some interesting TV data that was released this week. It's college football TV viewership after you take a team's top 4 opponents out of the equation. The data is from 2016 through 2023. And the important part is here, you're removing a team's 4 biggest games per year from the viewership data because, typically what skews viewership numbers is like what, the Notre Dame Ohio State viewership, for example. That's obviously going to get a monster number, or Ohio State Michigan, any of these, different big games. Well, what they did was they removed each team's top 4 games per season from the viewership numbers they compiled. And what they came up with is Notre Dame, number 1, 229.6 total, 229.6 million total viewers. Alabama, number 2 with a little over 212. Ohio State, third at 209 million. Michigan, 168 million. Clemson and Oklahoma were next. So what do you guys think about this? The fact that Notre Dame obviously stacks up so high, even after taking out the top 4 games per season from their viewership numbers.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by this one, to be honest with you, because the whole reason Notre Dame sticks with NBC and their contract is they don't need them. They have a national presence, whether it's the big game, whether it's the Navy game, whether it's the Miami of Ohio game. They're going to get a ton of viewers, a ton of eyeballs, and that's exactly why they continue to do the independent thing with NBC, and that's why they continue to show that they don't need to be in a conference like the Big Ten or the ACC when it comes to football, because at the end of the day, they're going to get viewers no matter what. And so, again, I'm not overly surprised by this. I think this needs to be made into a graphic that every time someone says Notre Dame needs to be in a conference, you just show them this graphic right here and say, no, they don't. But why? This is exactly why, like
this is it.
It is the rebuttal to any argument of Notre Dame needing to belong in a conference.
And you know what? The other side would be when you add back in those 4 games, I guarantee you Notre Dame lost a ton of viewership because all of their games got taken out when they're playing against somebody else, because Notre Dame is one of the biggest draws of any away team that they go see. Right. And so a bunch of their crap got taken out, number 1. And number 2, if you put it all back in, there's your argument for why conferences want Notre Dame in their conference.
Exactly.
Because they bring viewership and they bring butts and seats and they bring people to town. And that's why they want them in their conference. And so it is not surprising. I got into not an argument, a little bit of a back and forth with somebody on that post, actually. I'm like, oh, and Notre Dame needs to be in a conference. I don't think they do. And, this guy went off about their TV deal and everything. I was like, and this is why.
You're making the point, most likely. I didn't read that. Right. I saw your original response to it, but I didn't see.
It's like, this is why. Yeah. Look at these numbers. This is why they have a TV deal all to themselves.
Because this is, again, this is why when you look at the ACC TV contract, like as much as those people in ACC land, or hold whatever grudge against Notre Dame for not being a full-fledged member, right. The ACC contract would not even be paying what it is right now if Notre Dame was not a part of it because of what you're talking about. Because when they go to Wake Forest and North Carolina State and Duke, teams that obviously are not traditional TV draws and are never going to be big TV draws, those games are going to all get much bigger numbers when Notre Dame goes to those places. These road games in the ACC to the off-brand places, they're going to get bigger numbers because Notre Dame is part of it. And that's why there is still a lot of benefit for Notre Dame being part of this ACC agreement from both sides, but mostly from the ESPN ACC side. And obviously you throw in the ACC network and everything else that goes into it. That's exactly what these numbers right here show, is the value that Notre Dame has, even when it's not a marquee matchup that is across the country going to be better than any other brand that you put up there. Now, when you get into the marquee games, obviously the Ohio States and Michigans are going to be boosted a little bit, but this also shows that Notre Dame dwarfs even, Michigan, Maryland, for example, or Michigan, Indiana, or whatever it happens to be. Michigan might be a nice TV draw when they're playing these marquee games against Ohio State and Penn State, but the drop off is pretty considerable when you get into all these other games that they're going to be playing. And you don't have that same kind of drop off when it's Notre Dame. So yeah, I mean that's exactly it. Like when people talk about, why isn't Notre Dame in a conference and everything else? Because Notre Dame can go out and get their own TV deal and get, even above market price for what they're going to get out of that team, or maybe not above market price, but for being an independent institution and all that money coming to them, it's still very competitive compared to what these other schools are getting as being part of these conferences for their payouts. What are you chuckling at there, Jesse?
I want you to read what's on the screen.
Wow.
Man, salty. Henry looks a lot like Sean, except for all the hair. I don't know what I ever did to you, man. See, like Vince and I talked earlier about this week about would we ever want to be roasted? And like I said, I feel like between Salty and DK, we get roasted 90% of the time on this show as it is. So like who needs our own roast?
The trio of Salty, T-Guns, and DK could hurt a lot of feelings.
Anthony says, buy or sell. Is Henry the best looking male of the Steyers family?
Wow.
I mean, come on. We got people in here buying this stuff.
And then I was just getting ready to say we got hit with a buy, another buy.
I mean, shots fired at the top level over here. I'm just going to hunker down.
Stay low.
Dodge the shrapnel.
Dodge the strays that are coming everywhere.
No doubt.
No kidding.
Hit that like button if you would as you come into the show tonight on YouTube. We do appreciate it. As always, it helps us
leave a comment
algorithm.
Who your favorite looking Steyers is, I guess.
We don't have to go there. We don't have to go there.
People out
Scooby,
here flipping
Henry.
coin.
So some very unique news today from not just Notre Dame, but from the world of rock and pop music as well. Bon Jovi and Notre Dame have partnered to produce a special edition vinyl double LP of the brand's new album. It's called Forever. Notre Dame is the only collegiate property partnering with Bon Jovi for their album release, which is going to feature Fighting Irish-inspired design elements. The special edition double album is going to be $37.99. It's going to be released June 7th. There's going to be a limited number of them on sale on the release date at the Hammonds Notre Dame bookstore as well. This is like when I saw this email come, I think I saw a tweet about it first, and then I went and, got the whole release in my email today. It's like, wow, this is really interesting. There we go. A little cover art that flashing up there. It's got Notre Dame, the interlocking ND on the cover there. So the special edition vinyl package is going to include Notre Dame gold and blue splattered vinyl records, exclusive poster of the band members with the Notre Dame color presentation. The Notre Dame monogram is featured on the poster. The Notre Dame monogram on all 4 record labels as well, and a co-branded Notre Dame sticker on the front cover of the album wrapper. So guys, rate this news on a scale of 1 to 10. Go ahead, Vince.
I guess I'm going first.
Well, Jesse's having a sneezing attack with the mute button on.
I see. You know what? For me, it's like a 2. Like it does not do anything for me. I like some Bon Jovi. Like I like listening to some Bon Jovi every now and again, I'm not like one of the not crazy. That's not the right word to use. I am not the enthusiast music listener that's like, it has to be vinyl or like a collector or something like that. If I was, this would be huge. Like this would be awesome to get the Notre Dame, vinyl and all these different things. It's just not on my radar. It just doesn't do anything for me personally. So it's pretty low. It's 2-1 in that neighborhood.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have to agree here with Vince. I can't say that I know a couple Bon Jovi songs, but I'm definitely not a Bon Jovi fan. I think it looks sweet. It's pretty cool. Like if I were someone that had a record player and was into music and I was a huge Notre Dame lover, like I think this would be great. But unfortunately, me personally, I'm not too much into Bon Jovi. And yeah, I think that's really all I can add to that.
So a couple of different things. One, Vince, you really are the commie that Tommy says you are.
Yeah.
Jesse, I can forgive because, his age demographic is a little bit,
Some of his best stuff came out, though, when I was still in kindergarten.
And I'm giving this a 6. It's a little bit above you, but here are some of my concerns, okay? Right. Because as much as, you know, like I was coming out of high school when Slippery When Wet, to me, the most iconic Bon Jovi album ever was released, you know, with all the songs that, and we'll get to some of our favorite songs here in a minute. But then they followed that a couple of years later with New Jersey, which was basically just like if they had released a double album to begin with, they bookended each, you know, like they went together quite a bit, a lot of the same sound and stuff like that. But I mean, that was the peak for Bon Jovi, that 2-year period. I think 1986 is when Slippery When Wet came out. 1988 is when New Jersey came out. But, you know, both of them just chock full of hits. But what happens is, you know, I'm a big Bruce Springsteen fan, right?
I did know that.
Springsteen peaked around that same era as well, with Born in the USA and then Tunnel of Love. Two completely different kinds of albums, but like Born in the USA was a hit machine. You know, like, you know, his biggest hits all came from Born in the USA. Followed it with a little bit something different on the Tunnel of Love. Still had a couple of, you know, good hits on that, but really everything since then, you know, it's ventured into different eras. And what happens with all of these rock, you know, acts is they all peak in a certain time, right? And then as they get older, the music starts changing. Their voices also start changing. And that becomes, you know, like, I haven't heard Bon Jovi sing in a while, but I've heard that he's maybe had some vocal issues, just like, you know, Steven Tyler, who's even older than him for Aerosmith. Remember, they had to cancel the tour a few months back when Aerosmith was trying to do their tour. My point is, like, you get to this point in the Bon Jovi career, you don't necessarily know what some of this stuff is going to sound like. So it's like, it all sounds pretty cool. And the fact that you're partnering with Notre Dame is cool. And obviously, you know, he had the son who went to Notre Dame and played at Notre Dame and all that different kind of stuff. And he's got the Notre Dame connection and all that. So it's very unique, but just for where they are and kind of not knowing what we're going to get when this album comes out, to me, there is a big question mark there. But I still give it a 6 because it's Bon Jovi and they're partnering with Notre Dame. And, you know, like they said, they're really like, you've never seen anything like that before.
That's the part that I dig. I mean, how many other colleges are pairing with an iconic band to, you know, come out with a vinyl and all of those different, like that? That's cool. Like, I do find that part of it cool, you know, because right now, when you think of Notre Dame over the last 25 years or so, they got a relationship with Bon Jovi and they got a relationship with Chicago. Like, those are the two bands that you would not be surprised that Notre Dame had some sort of an affiliation with, right? That had some sort of a release like this. I think that's cool. I like Chicago music. I like Bon Jovi music. You know what I mean? And Garth Brooks, you know, I like Garth Brooks music. So I think the relationship is cool. It's just another indicative part of the brand of Notre Dame that they can do this. You know, you don't see LSU keep teaming up with anybody because everybody be like, who gives a crap? You know what I mean? Like, this is something that people are legitimately going to buy because of the brand.
Yeah, and this is the point I made when I first saw this morning. We were talking about it. It's almost like who reaps more benefits from this, Notre Dame or Bon Jovi? You know what I mean? And it feels like Notre Dame, at least in my opinion, kind of gave Bon Jovi a crutch here. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's going to help his overall sales and numbers, this partnership with Notre Dame, because if you are an old school Notre Dame fan and you love Bon Jovi and you love, you know, like the old school vinyls, like this is something cool. Like it goes straight to your man cave. Right. Yeah. It's a collector's item. Yep. And I think the fact that you put Notre Dame with it only helps Bon Jovi in this kind of, you know, later stage of his career, essentially.
No, that's absolutely right, because you're kind of using the Notre Dame machine to, you know, to promote this. It's getting, I think, at least in this market anyway, where we're talking about it, it's getting an even bigger push. But, you know, look, if you live in New Jersey, like you're contractually, especially if you were born in New Jersey and you still live in New Jersey, I think you are, you know, obliged by birth that you are both a Springsteen and a Bon Jovi fan, right? So like True. Jersey has, you know, they've got that corner of the, you know, part of the market cornered. It's the rest of the country where you still kind of have to push it out there. But, you know, the connection with Bon Jovi goes deep, because even before, you know, like when John Bon Jovi kids probably before they were even born, or at least around the time they were born. Like, I got here in the fall of 2000, that 2000-2001 Notre Dame women's basketball national championship season. The Notre Dame band was playing Living on a Prayer. Like that was that song has been a song that they have played for a long time. I don't even know, like, are they still playing Living on a Prayer? But I know they did for a long time. They were
When I went to a lot of the
prayer.
games in high school, I remember the band playing Living on a Prayer every home game, every single, and I remember the student section singing along every single time. I can't recollect as much now because I only go to like what feels like one game every 2 years or so. But I definitely know, like, when I was in middle school and high school and I was going like every week, like that song was engraved in my head because they would play it in the
Everybody
fourth quarter
it.
every time.
Yep, fourth quarter, and at all basketball games they played it. Like, it might as well have been, like the secondary Notre Dame fight song.
So that's kind of what I'm like. Is Notre Dame basically, that's the flip side of this? Is Notre Dame basically claiming Bon Jovi as like their kind of, like that's their anthem, like that's kind of like their catalog of Bon Jovi music is now what's going to be played at a lot of Notre Dame events? Because like that's kind of like what would follow, in my opinion. If you're going to make this sort of partnership, how would you not play his music, at a lot of various different venues?
Sloppy Joe, this is just flat out blasphemous to say that Bon Jovi is mid. Come on,
Sloppy
man.
Joe. He's probably
like,
a young kid like Jesse.
Get Sloppy, like Sloppy. Tell me who you're listening to. Like, who is peak if Bon Jovi is mid? He says Notre Dame needs to form a partnership with Rick Astley. He'll never give us up. You don't even know who Rick Astley is?
Is that it's the last line there.
Never gonna give
you up.
Okay, I know the song. I don't know who the heck sings it.
That's how I am about a lot of things.
But you need to
movies,
like, do the
actors,
the Foo Fighters Rick Astley Rickroll is what you need. Okay. That's the version to listen to when Astley and Foo Fighters. Oh, Sloppy Joe is with Gore. Okay, well that answers a lot.
I don't even know who that was.
What is that besides just
I read that as GWAR.
Yeah, if you're in on Gore, man, then like we don't even need to continue that conversation.
I would like, maybe this could be a fun question. Who would you want Notre Dame to partner up with?
Cultural appropriation, Jesse. We can't do it.
That's right. You can't do shipping up to Boston. It's cultural appropriation if Notre Dame plays that.
He'll tell you all about it.
Yep, that's right. Notre Dame culturally appropriated the state of New Jersey when they started playing Living on a Prayer 2.5 decades ago.
That's when they hired Charlie Weiss. That's when they did that.
That's right. Well, so let me ask you this then, okay? Scale of 1 to 10. After this announcement today, what's your confidence? We've been waiting for another concert to show up at Notre Dame Stadium.
That's what I thought this was, by the way.
What's your confidence we're going to get a Bon Jovi concert within the next 14 months at Notre Dame
This
Stadium?
Is a 10 out of 10. There's a no doubt, in my opinion. This is like the Bon Jovi. This is the start of the Bon Jovi tour at Notre Dame. I think he starts, he's going to go on some sort of tour, and I think he's going to play at Notre Dame at the beginning and the end. I think that you could get more than one out of him out of this whole thing.
This is a 737 out of 10. There's no chance it's not happening. There's no chance it's not happening.
Vince, don't you agree? It's like the bigger question is it 2? Like, I think 1 is almost guaranteed.
Here's the only problem. And you guys might shoot this down, rightfully so. And I'm going to show my ignorance. Do you think he could sell out the stadium?
Yes.
Okay. There you go. Then yeah,
it's freaking Bon Jovi. I realized that like you were born in 1980 and you don't see any real value in Bon Jovi. But I tell you what, I'm in my mid 50s.
Would you go?
And 99% of the female persuasion who is in my age demographic still melts over Bon Jovi.
Okay,
they will be there. They will be there, and I will be there. For that match.
I think it would be a fun concert. I will
be there at that concert.
I think it would be a fun concert, but I definitely would not go.
What if they were free tickets?
I would go.
Okay.
Vince knows the value of free. He would try to sell them is what he would do.
Well,
there's no doubt. And that's, when they announced this, the concert is the first thing that I thought of.
Yeah, me too.
You would think that, like, if they were going to do it, like, it would be really unique to announce them together. Here's this
Yes.
double vinyl LP, plus they're going to
Right.
play on X date, you know.
And
kind of thing.
here's a deal. Like, if you buy 2 tickets at face value,
You get the album for free.
Yeah, like that would have been, you know, a little.
I'm
promo
waiting for
action.
the package deals. There's going to be some package
The
deals.
fact that they've got new music coming out,
yeah,
they've got to be getting ready for a tour. And
yes, absolutely.
And Notre Dame has got to be included if they're doing some kind of package deal like this with the release of this
do you
album.
kick it off at Notre Dame or do you wrap it up at Notre Dame? Like which, you know,
Well,
what
like
I mean?
you said,
kick it off.
I would at least kick it
both.
off, and maybe you do both.
Bookend it.
Yeah.
Bookend it. I could see that.
Isn't that what Garth did? You know, he bookended the whole thing, right? Remember, because he kicked it off in the middle of October when it was freezing out there, and then he finished it off. Yeah. He's got it. They've got to be. Because this has been one, as we've tried to speculate over the last few years since they started doing, you know, since they started with the Garth concert, and they brought Billy Joel in. That was obviously delayed a couple of years by the pandemic and all that stuff. And then you had George Strait. I mean, so you've only had 3 acts since they've started doing this. Like, I think that, I think that Bon Jovi has been one of the more speculated, like, would Bon Jovi ever, like, would they ever get him because of the connection that he has to Notre Dame? So it feels like a slam dunk. If they're doing this, they're releasing new music. They're obviously all, you know, all in on this. They've got to be launching a tour at some point in the near future. And I think that it's just a natural with all of his connection to Notre Dame and doing this, that they would be playing a concert here.
Well, and he's also donated money to the university. I mean, outside of his son's tuition, he has donated to the university. So, I mean, he's a Notre Dame guy. I mean, there's no doubt about it. So, yeah, a concert is absolutely forthcoming.
Larry Randall, thanks for the super chat. Listen to Sean. He's the professor. So
they gave out nicknames, by the way, in the show earlier today.
Oh.
So just FYI.
What's yours?
Who gave them out? Listeners or Brian?
So there was a super chat asking what everybody's nickname maybe used to be or is or something like that. And of course, that spawned into the chat of them just giving out nicknames. So that's what ended up happening. Because I got this weird text from Brian asking me, "What's your nickname?" I'm like, what? What are you talking about? I don't have, like, it's very strange. And then I realized he's on the show. So I flip it on and I see the super chat and I understand now what they were talking about. So, you know, I was back in high school, I was Vinny. So that's why I gave that one.
That's not really a nickname. Though.
Well,
it's like,
I mean, my name is Vincent. So obviously it is a nickname. It is a shortened version of my name.
I feel like nicknames can include your name. It's like giving a definition using the word in it. That's like taboo.
Well, that's the best I could do. I've never had a nickname. I'm not a nickname guy. But they called you the professor, by the way.
Interesting.
So that's where that came from.
I'm not sure why.
I think it's because you just know a lot about a lot of various topics.
Sports. I guess you can throw music and movies.
Music, pop culture, movies, TV shows.
There was just a family emergency, so I'm gonna have to step out for a moment. My son just came down with like rubber gloves on, so there's an issue.
Have fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good luck with that.
Yeah, I'll text you both what's going on. But
all right,
I'm not allowed to give out any further information.
Interesting. Okay.
Hopefully, I see you. Oh, he's gone.
Spark says, give the money from the concert to NIL. I think the other band members from Bon Jovi might not necessarily be in.
Do you start a Bon Jovi NIL collective now and just like Brady Quinn did?
Why not?
I think it's a good idea.
I mean, I think that if he wanted to,
I think you got to milk this as much as possible.
I think so,
you got to do as much as you can between the two. I want to know what my nickname was. I bet I didn't get one, but I just want to be curious if I did come up.
Okay, so Vince texted what's going on. We're not allowed to talk about it on the show. It's nothing serious, fortunately, but he just doesn't want, because it involves one of his kids, so he doesn't want to say exactly what's going on. Have I ever told, I know I've told you, like, just, since it, like, my Bon Jovi, like my Bon Jovi personal interaction. I don't know if I've ever told it on this show
I don't
before.
think you have on the
So
show.
it was back at Notre Dame Stadium. This was 2013 because it was the same season as the Notre Dame Shamrock Series game down in Arlington when Notre Dame played Arizona State. So it was later that season, November, actually. I believe it was senior day. So it's the end of the season for Notre Dame. And in the old press box, which is on the west side of Notre Dame Stadium, when we were over there, they've got a couple elevators that go down, but they also have a big stairwell that goes all the, down to the concourse level. And a lot of people would just file out of the press box and take that so you don't have to wait for the elevator. Just walk down the stairs, like 8 flights or whatever it was. So I'm about to go through the door to get into the stairwell to go down, and I've got my stocking cap on, and I'm kind of fumbling it, trying to get through the door. And somebody behind me grabs the door, holds it open for me, and says, "Go ahead." And so, I look up and say thanks, and it's John Bon Jovi.
Oh,
So I put on it was cold outside, so I put on my stocking cap, and it's, surprise, surprise to our IB Nation Sports Talk listeners, it's a Dallas Cowboys stocking cap. And he goes, "Oh, brother, a Cowboys fan," and he's like laughing about it. And so we end up, I'm like, "Oh, so you must be a Giants fan, right?" And he's like, "Of course." And so all the way down, we're talking Cowboys, Giants, kind of poking each other back and forth. And we were talking about going to, because we had been to Jerry World that year, and we were talking about the stadium. He said he hadn't been there yet, and just kind of going back and forth all the way down 8, 9, whatever flights of stairs that it was. And that was my personal interaction with John Bon Jovi. Very nice guy. It started with him holding the door open for me, and then kind of poking fun of the Dallas Cowboys.
I was there with you, so I'm first and foremost mad that I wasn't, a part of this experience. I must have just been hanging out doing my own thing while you had to actually, go do work.
Right.
And but I guess
this was at Notre Dame. This was not in Arlington.
Oh, okay. Okay. My next question would be, would you consider that one of your top 5 celebrity moments or celebrity interactions?
Yeah, because I honestly don't have a lot of celebrity interactions otherwise, other than people in sports, like in terms of non-sports, quote unquote, celebrities.
No, I'd include sports people though, too.
I think that's still probably up at the top.
Right.
Yeah. And Muhammad Ali. I did get to meet Muhammad Ali. So those are the two. I don't know if I've ever told that story as well, but it was when I worked at the radio station within a year after I moved here. The guy that I worked with at the radio station knew Muhammad Ali, and we were kind of working on doing a charity thing. Are you going to grab it off the wall? Is that what you're doing? You got the photo there? So back it up a little bit. You're a little too close. So right there. So that is me, Berrien Springs, Michigan. Muhammad Ali used to live in Berrien Springs, Michigan, about 30, 40 minutes north of South Bend. We drove up to his place. This is in his personal gym, in his boxing ring. He let both of us, he laid down flat on the ground, on the canvas, laid down, and let us stand over him like his iconic photo of him knocking out Sonny Liston. So that's what that photo is that Jesse is holding up right there, hanging with Muhammad Ali. So those are the top 2. All right. So apparently people are done with the Bon Jovi talk. You want to talk about a little bit more Notre Dame football now?
I thought you were going to freaking ask me what my favorite songs were, so I came prepared.
Well, what are your favorite songs? I'm sorry. Go ahead. What are your favorite songs? Vince ducked out. I didn't think that you would even have any favorite songs.
Well,
so
I'm probably going to name the, nothing authentic here, probably more of the mainstream. I can't say Living on a Prayer. I think I would go with Bad Medicine would be my favorite Bon Jovi song.
Okay.
And then, Shot Through the Heart is definitely up there for me. and Wanted Dead or Alive is up there for me as well. But I like Bad Medicine, and that's where I'm gonna end my little Bon Jovi talk here.
All right. I like it. Mine are Wanted Dead or Alive from the Slippery When Wet album that I've already talked about. 2, You Give Love a Bad Name, also Slippery When Wet. Living on a Prayer is just, I think, probably because it's been so overplayed at some of those games over the years, is not on my list, but I would put Bad Medicine from the New Jersey album at number 3. So those are my top 3.
Nice. I'm glad that we agreed on that.
Yeah, we at least have something in there. All right. Hit the like button if you would. Of course, subscribe, rate, and review. We're not wrapping up right now. We've got more to talk about because there were some questions from the We In, We Out show that got in a little bit late on the Champions Lounge. So, and of course, the only way to submit them is in the Champions Lounge. Subscribe to the Champions Lounge. Larry says Jesse is the Rock. Thanks again for the super chat.
People don't know my nickname was Juice. Juice.
So we're going to get in some of the We In, We Out questions that we weren't able to get because they came in a little bit late. So this one is actually from Tommy. He says, actually, I'm going to save this one until Vince gets back. And hopefully he does get back. This one is from Roach, R-O-C-H, or Rosh. I'm not sure exactly how he tries to pronounce that, but he says, Notre Dame football shocks the haters and media disbelievers by beating Texas A&M and staying in the top 10 all season long. We in or we out?
I just want to pull up the schedule one more time before I definitely give an answer here, right? So I'm just trying to think. You beat Texas A&M. You got Northern Illinois, Purdue, Miami of Ohio, Louisville, Stanford, Georgia Tech, Navy, Florida State, Virginia, Army, USC. So after Texas A&M, personally, I think that your next potential loss should come at Florida State. And if you're undefeated at that point, and if Florida State's a good team, you lose, you could probably stay in the top 10. If you lose again to USC, you're out. I don't see them losing both of those games. I see Notre Dame with one loss maximum this season. So I'm going to have to say we in. I think Notre Dame does beat Texas A&M, and they will stay in the top 10 all the way until maybe the Florida State game. I think that's the only hiccup I could see. But if that's their only loss, I don't see them getting dumped out of the top 10. So I'm going to say we in.
I think we in as well. This schedule sets up very well for Notre Dame to be in the top 10 all season long, especially going on the road, winning a game like that to open up the season. I know that I think Texas A&M's similar to Notre Dame, just in that their strength is probably going to be their defense, most likely going into that game, especially when you have a new head coach like Mike Elko, who is a defensive-minded head coach and all that kind of stuff. But I think that if Notre Dame wins that game, I mean, you just went through the schedule. They're not going to be tested again, really, until you get to early November in that Florida State game. And what Florida State ends up being, I mean, who knows at that point? Same for USC later in the month of November. So, yeah, absolutely. I mean, will they shock the haters and media disbelievers? I don't know. But at the same time, I do think they're going to stay in the top 10.
And Vince is in.
I'm back.
Welcome back.
Crisis averted.
All right. Everything go okay?
As much as it can, because now Mom's home.
Are
Okay.
we in or are we out? Notre Dame beats Texas A&M.
You're a little off
remains in
mic
the
again there,
top
Jess.
10 the entire season.
Wait. Oh, if they beat Texas A&M, are they in the top 10? It's that question, right?
Right.
Right. Totally in.
Do they stay in the top 10 all season?
Absolutely. I think they start in the top 10. I think they convincingly beat Texas A&M, and they will stay in the top 10 the rest of the way.
Vince,
Yes.
what's your only potential hiccup? Florida State or USC at the end?
Well, here's like Josh is saying he thinks Louisville is going to be better than FSU. I have no idea what Louisville is going to be after everything they lost.
I think,
and remember, Florida State still beat Louisville. With Louisville being full strength at the end of last season.
I feel my gut tells me Louisville's going to be better, but this is a big year for Florida State. because we're going to see what Norvell and his guys are doing down there because they lost a bunch of guys. So are they developing talent? Are they, what is going on at Florida State? Can they rebound from, everything that happened at the end of last season, right? And then everybody bails on the bowl game. They go out and they get beat by 100 and, not good going into the offseason. So what do they look like? I think at the moment, I have more faith in the head coach at Louisville than I do of the head coach at Florida State.
Ooh, interesting. I mean, Jeff Brom's a good coach, but he's only done it 1 year so far. Norvell,
I get it.
Norvell was building up to what they got last year.
I feel like Brom's
who
a
did
better
Florida State
offensive
get in the
coach.
portal? I forgot who's their quarterback. They got
Uwe
something.
Ongalale, right?
DJ Uiagalelei.
Which
Notre
is,
Dame terrorized in South Bend.
I don't know that I trust DJ. So that
I think
could
he's going to
be
have a little PTSD from the last time he was here.
against Notre Dame, 100%. The issue is, look, he has won an ACC championship as a quarterback. And
True.
He's back in the ACC. So what does that say for the rest of the ACC? That's a question mark that I think we don't have an answer to, right? I have no fear of DJ Uiagalelei against Notre Dame. But what's he going to do with the rest of the schedule? I think that's the bigger question.
Yeah.
Is he the right guy to bring in?
I don't know what Jesse is doing back there.
You shut your video off, but not your sound. So it was just like Darth Vader.
Yeah. It was like that press conference last night. We could still hear crazy things going on.
Oh, Vince, did you hear about that?
No,
let's keep it clean. Keep it clean.
I don't know. I won't say what explain after an NBA game last night. The Mavs star player Luka Doncic was getting interviewed, and I'll just say that someone in the back had their phone on, and some sounds came through.
Whoops! Somebody surfing some websites they shouldn't have been surfing in the middle of the press conference.
Maybe
in the middle of the press conference.
All right,
and that is what we're called being down bad.
That's just funny.
Okay, so another we in, we out from Tommy. He says, and I'll let Vince start with this one. He says, this wide receiver recruiting class will be akin to Mickens' first corner class, and receiver recruiting over the next few years will take massive steps forward. We in or we out?
I'm tentatively in because I do think that, they turned the wide receiver room around in a year. And yes, they did it through the transfer portal, but I think they also did it on the recruiting trail. And so I am cautiously optimistic. I'm cautiously in on this. I think Coach Brown is a good wide receivers coach. I like what I've seen so far. Still got to see a full season. Still got to see a full recruiting cycle. All of those things. But the trend is where I want it to be. Let's put it that way.
You know what? I'm going to say we in because I feel like the wide receiver position has been the missing piece at Notre Dame over the last decade. It feels like, right? So how if you're playing a game of probability, you'd have to say that eventually they're going to hit on this thing, right? And I feel like the wide receiver room is like compared to the rest of the positions, corner, linebacker, offensive line, quarterbacks, like it is to me that last struggling position. And so I feel like there has to be an emphasis on it. And two, like I was saying, like at some point you're going to hit on it, right? Like you're not going to consistently miss. And so I think with the concerted effort to get the wide receiver room where it needs to be, having someone like Mike Denbrock in the room, I think that goes a long way because you can sell wide receivers on coming to Notre Dame, catching from Deuce Knight, CJ Carr, whoever it might be. I think that's a huge selling point. So I think you're going to see that shift at the wide receiver position like we've seen at all the other positions really since Marcus Freeman has, started at Notre Dame.
Yeah, I'm in on this as well. We in on this because, just look at the trend that it's already going with. Jaden Greathouse, the lone holdover from last year's class, obviously because the other guys transferred. But look at the bump they got out of that class, and then you go to Cam Williams and Micah Gilbert and Logan Saldate. This year, another bump, and they're working on next year. As Ryan and I talked about earlier this week, they'd like another big receiver to kind of boost this class a little bit, but it's pointing in the right direction. And as they have an offense that looks more like a 21st century offense that you expect to have with Mike Denbrock, and you continue to get improved quarterback play from guys like Riley Leonard, and then these two guys who you mentioned who are following, Carr and Knight, that's going to do nothing but help as well. Receivers are going to want to come play in this offense. And
Carr and Knight are really good about recruiting, not recruiting, but like they're trying to get other good players to come. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's recruiting.
Like Tommy says, Faison. And I mean, he's good, but obviously his recruitment was a little bit different because of the lacrosse and everything else.
I say this all the time. Give me a Michael Floyd wide receiver, like just a guy that is going to go up and get that ball, strong, physical.
That's great, but they haven't had a quarterback that's willing to throw that ball to that guy.
No, I get that, and that's definitely that's just like when I think of a stud wide receiver, that's who I think of that's at the top of my wish list. That's who that's what I'm comparing to essentially.
That's fair. That's fair. And they're going to have the thing about Notre Dame, though, because Brian Kelly loved to recruit that big, strong boundary receiver, and he kind of neglected every other type of receiver out there. It felt like, and everybody else was like an afterthought. He recruited, Robbie Toma because of Manti Te'o, or they were all afterthoughts like these guys, and so now they're actually recruiting guys that fit the different positions. It's not just all big boundary receivers.
Yeah,
it's guys like Greathouse that can play multiple positions, and all of that. And I think that's going to be a huge step in the right direction too.
The scheme that Mike Denbrock is going to have without the extra tight end there so much, where you've got guys spread out, they can challenge the perimeter more with this kind of skill set they're bringing in.
Yep.
Yes.
I believe, and USMA is asking when Faison the younger gets here. I think he's a 26.
That's what I was thinking as well.
Kid. So that means he's a current sophomore in high school.
I didn't even know Faison had a little brother.
He already got offered, brother, for football, but he's also, from what I understand, a better lacrosse player than his brother. So
this is what I was getting at. We're finally shopping down the right aisle.
Yeah, all of them. Like every aisle is open for grabs. Like that's the key, man.
Yep. All the aisles are up for grabs here, but like defensive linemen, apparently you can't go shopping for them down in Baton Rouge. So it's just a tough sell. It's a tough sell down there.
It is.
Those D linemen, they cost too much. So you can't recruit them. They don't want to be
a tiger. It's not, they don't want the right things.
USMA 87 wants to know how many interceptions Uiagalelei is going to throw this season.
I looked up his stats. He went 10 his first year starting, 7 his second year, 7 his third year. So I think that's a pretty good number, actually, between 7 and 10. I think that's probably where he'll end up being. It depends on the kind of offense that they're going to run down at Florida State. Are they going to put everything on DJ? If that's the case, interceptions are going to go up. That's going to be the biggest issue. If they have a quality run game and other things like that.
They just had a running back drafted. That's a good point, Vince.
So I would say 7 to 10, but if they're going to put the whole offense on his shoulders, I don't think that's a great idea.
Someone slandered me yesterday for saying that, I don't have faith in the Viper position contributing to the sack total, but hey, what do I freaking know? That was a different we in, we out question.
Tommy's saying we're not having much better luck with Viper recruiting. Well, but the head coach is also not complaining that
he's not making
pay
excuses
to go out and recruit one. So
that's the difference. That's the difference.
Okay, so another one. Charles Jagusah will be named an All-American first team this year. We in or we out on that?
I'm out. I think that's putting the cart before the horse. It's a little early for that. And
I got to be out on this one as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
2 years
doesn't
down the
say
line.
Freshman All-American, which I could have been in on. I could have been in on that. But a first team All-American as a true freshman, no chance. It's not going to happen. Joe Alt wasn't a first team All-American as a true freshman.
Was Benjamin Morrison a first team?
No, he was a freshman.
He was a freshman All-American.
Freshman All-American. I'm out. I wanted to try to be different than you two. I was trying to brainstorm, but that's just lofty expectations. And then you consider, all the other greats that have come out of Notre Dame at the offensive line position, and that's something that they didn't really even accomplish.
Yeah, that's way too hard. as a
tough.
first-year starter to be first-team
Yeah.
All-American. I mean, some guy who's going to be, a first-round draft pick is going to end up with this first-team All-American. Now, he could be, a second team or whatever, but it's still a question mark as well. Coming out of spring, Jagusah going into spring, probably not a question. And I'm not saying he's a major concern coming out of spring, but it was a question.
Sure.
When you look at how the edge rushers performed those last 2 weekends, both in the Jersey scrimmage and the blue gold game, how are those two inexperienced tackles going to pass protect? I think that's the biggest question that the offensive line has to address.
Look, and the other thing you have to remember is who votes on this stuff. Okay. And offensive linemen specifically, there's really no stats to get after. And so offensive linemen get these honors by reputation. Okay. And it's tough as a first-year starter to have any kind of reputation going into the season. You don't see a whole lot of movement from a lot of preseason All-Americans to postseason All-Americans when it comes to the offensive line, because it's mostly based on, reputation and all this.
No, that's
stuff,
exactly what it is. You build that reputation as your career goes on.
And he doesn't have anything to build on because he's going to be a first-year starter. So going like a year from now, let's have that conversation depending on how year one goes and what kind of reputation he has. But going in with nothing behind him, I'm out.
Yeah. Brandon says he's technically going to be a redshirt freshman. Correct. But for voting for things like freshman All-American, he'll qualify as a freshman All-American. And for the rest of the world, you can say he's a redshirt freshman, but all that means is he's a freshman.
Yeah, which is ridiculous, but that's still the way it goes. And so could he be a freshman All-American? You could convince me of that. He still has a lot of work to do, though. There's still some work to do.
From Wilson 19 Lucas, Notre Dame's next stadium upgrade will be removing the benches and have backs to the seats. We in or we out on that?
Out. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. I don't see it.
Do I want it to happen? Yes. Do I think it'll happen? No. So I'm going to have to say we out. But when was the last time your guys' backs had to brave those wooden benches? Or no, they're not wooden anymore. They're plastic now, I'm pretty sure.
COVID year. That was it. That's the last time. It didn't bother me. It was cool.
Oof. Well, you're lucky. You're lucky you've got a back that's
that's fair.
Then. So
that's fair. I've seen what you come armed with, even with chairs with a back.
That's right. That's right. I guess I need to start doing core work or something. Get that core to hold the back up. I got to be out on this one. Because what happens when you add seat backs is you reduce capacity. That's less seats that you can sell, less tickets that you can sell. So they're not going to remove the benches. The benches are there not just because of tradition or whatever. It's because you can put people closer together on the benches and sell more tickets.
This is true. Nailed it. Uh-oh.
Can you still hear me?
Yes, I can.
We in or we out on that? Did I cut?
You are out, brother. All we heard was, are you in or are you out?
Okay. The In-N-Out Double is the superior fast food hamburger in America. We in or we out on that?
Look, I'm going to take this one first because I looked at the map. Okay. I've never had an In-N-Out burger, and here's why. There is not a single In-N-Out restaurant east of Dallas.
Right.
I haven't been west of Dallas maybe 2 times in my life. So I'm out because I don't know. I have no empirical evidence.
Oh, we are in, and it's not even a question. It is I don't even know if you can consider In-N-Out fast food. That's how good it is. Like that.
Wow.
That could be in my opinion, a standalone burger. I love it. Maybe it's because I don't get it very often, right, Vince? Because I have to go. It's only when I'm, out west visiting friends or, a little vacation. And when you're visiting friends or on vacation, everything is great because you're not working. You're on vacation. So, but I've had Whataburger. I've had In-N-Out burger. I've had
White Castle
burgers. I've had White Castle.
Yeah, so you've had every burger there is. You don't have to run through every freaking burger chain you've ever eaten.
I'm just making sure that we are,
you go to the Rolodex. You go to the Rolodex to see if there's anything better.
Yeah, and I want everyone in the chat to know that I'm not leaving anyone out. So, And if you make it, what is it, like crazy style or whatever, you get a little bit extra sauce on there. I'm an in.
USMA 87 says he just had one last night. Double with grilled onion and chilies. That sounds good, actually. I've got to go out on this. Like,
Ooh.
I've had In-N-Out a few times. The last couple of times I've had it, I have fallen into, am I really overrating this just because it's, so rare that you get? Like, it didn't stack up to other burgers to me. To me, the best burger I've ever had still is the Carl's Jr. Western Bacon Cheeseburger. Comes with onion rings on it, a little bit of barbecue sauce and cheese. That to me is the best one. Now, they might not be as good today, but the ones I got were when I was in California back in the 80s. That's still the best burger that I've ever had. But more recently, I would still go, some people saying Culver's, like John right now.
Culver's is really good.
Culver's is a really good burger. I would put Five Guys probably. I know a lot of people are complaining about Five Guys and the prices right now. I would put Five Guys as my current number one.
Five Guys is absolutely excellent. The problem is you got to take out a mortgage on your home to eat there. That's tough.
There you go.
Culver's is excellent. I will say the Culver's butter burger kind of melts in your mouth almost. Like I'm a big fan of Culver's. I will say that's one of my tops right now.
Sloppy Joe, maybe somewhat ironically, talking about Culver's coming to Wichita, Kansas in July. So he'll blast a little guar when he goes through the Culver's drive-thru in Wichita.
The problem personally for me is they put a Culver's right across the street from the school that I work at.
Ooh.
And we have closed lunch.
Man,
my entire job basically is like just nailing kids for leaving school to go get lunch and coming back. So, but I get it. Like I pull them in the office like, guys, I get it. Like next time, bring me a burger and maybe I'll let you slide.
Police.
I am the no fun police.
Okay, here's a question for you. Pearl Jam bassist Jeff Ament said on the Bill Simmons podcast, he compares his basketball game to Pat Connaughton, interestingly enough.
Wow.
Who would you compare your basketball game to? I know, right?
Like jumping out of the gym? Like you're that guy. Like I feel like he's overestimating himself, but maybe
might be.
I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe he's deceptively athletic. I don't know.
I got a good one for me. What do you got, Jesse?
Get that reference?
So I'm going to go.
Pat Connaughton used to have.
I didn't go with anyone NBA because I wanted to keep it Notre Dame relevant. I'm going to go with Luke Herringody. A very shorter version of Luke Herringody, I think, would be a good. I don't have a jump shot. If I'm going to be effective, it's down low, using some of my physical ability, broad shoulders, those sort of things, boxing out. Again, I can't jump very high. So I don't know how many rebounds I'm grabbing, but I am built to play down low. I felt like Luke Herringody, let's just say I'm not an athletic in terms of basketball. And I felt like Luke Herringody made the most out of his athleticism at Notre Dame. And so I would be a short Luke Herringody.
Very, but that's okay. I went a completely different direction. I feel like my game resembles that of Bill Murray from Space Jam.
Nice.
That's
I like
me.
it.
That's
like
me.
it.
Dun, 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 dun. I can pass. I can, keep everybody, I play good D. I can't shoot to save my life. I have to be on the block to make anything happen. And
I'm a defensive and a hustle player.
Yes. Oh, 100%. That's me. But 5'8" on the block doesn't always work. You know what I mean? And so if I have to step out, it's get rid of the ball, get it to the playmakers. Like that's me. And I can play some good D if necessary.
Vince will also talk a lot of crap.
Yes, I will. No doubt about it. I will.
He will be in your head mentally all game.
Look, my son, my kid is super athletic. Like I don't know where he gets it from, but he gets his trash talking from me. No doubt about it.
I've heard about it.
Joe says he's Lambeer or Charles Oakley. Sloppy Joe says Thanos Antetokounmpo. Brandon, definitely a Dame Lillard type. Okay, so you're just your average hooper. Dame Lillard game there.
You just can pull up from midcourt from the logo and Dame time, baby.
I'm more along the lines of what Vince was talking about. I'm Sandy Lyle, played by
Nice,
Philip
Adam.
Seymour Hoffman
Oh.
from Along Came Polly.
Buckets.
I'm out there making it rain.
Making it rain.
Only I'm making it rain when it's brick. Make it rain. Brick shot. That's me. King of the bricks.
It's one of my favorite memes, by the way. That is fantastic. Make it rain. That is awesome. That is fantastic.
Fill in the blank. If you could attend one game that was depicted in a sports movie, it would be blank.
I had a hard time with this. This was on
You
the
had
docket.
extra time to
I
think
know.
about this as well.
Look, I've got notes. Like I actually wrote stuff down, and I don't know that I don't. Oh, it's so hard because a lot of these sports movies, right, that I've watched, like it's a high school game or it's like whatever, like Mighty Ducks or something like that. It's like I don't want to go to those games. Like it's a good movie, but no. So I've got two. So the first one is based on real life.
Okay.
Right? Miracle on Ice. I would have loved to be there. Like the abs 100%, right?
Okay.
My complete fictional one would be Love of the Game.
The perfect game.
Watching Kevin
Billy
Costner
Chapel.
throw a perfect game at Yankee Stadium. Like I think that would have been awesome. So those are my two. I got one kind of real and one fictional.
I like it.
I took this question a little bit differently.
Of course. Should we sit back and wait for the story that's about to be spun here?
I took it as more of like if you could be in the game, like a participating member.
So now you're cast
game.
in the movie. Okay.
No, I was thrust
Sensing
into like
what's
the
coming
intensity of the situation. I was gonna pick Friday Night Lights, the football movie.
Okay.
I had a feeling it might be the state championship game at the end.
Yeah. Yep. That's what I would have done.
So would you play for Carter or would you play for Dylan?
I'd play for Dylan and be the reason why we won.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
you're changing
the history of it.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Little Quentin Tarantino to him. He's going to spin history in his own way.
Come on, man. Carter was like, come on, how do you not pick Carter? They even have Adam's colors. Like that was your high school.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, come on now. The showboating. I mean, it all fits.
Yeah. Joe says any game played at the Field of Dreams, Salty, the Hoosiers game. That's one that I thought of.
What do you got?
I think I would have to go with Rocky 2, the rematch. Rocky and Apollo Creed. I thought about the first one, but Rocky
all
loses
the boxing
first
ones are great ones.
The second one, though, remember have you even seen any of the Rockies, Vince?
Yeah. Oh,
no, not really. Yeah, that's why.
So are you gonna force Vince to come over and have a Rocky marathon now?
Vince had to be muted. I think we might have.
That's what happened to me,
to
Vince. I'm getting forced into a Top Gun marathon this weekend.
So end of Rocky 2, the rematch. Sean. They both fall down at the ropes, and it's like you're sitting there. It's like who's gonna get up? Is either one of them gonna get up? And then Rocky pulls himself up on the ropes at the last second, wins the belt and the whole thing. So I've got to go with that one. Like, imagine being at that fight with that kind of ending when both guys are down and then the guy gets up at the last second to stand up to win the heavyweight championship.
I don't think I need to watch the movie. You just told me how it ends. I'm good.
Sorry for any spoilers, by the way, for a 45-year-old movie for anybody who might be out there. Like, I hope I didn't ruin it for you. By the way, Rocky wins like all but 2 fights in the first 4 movies. So that might come as a shock. Might come as a cinematic shock. But yes, Jesse is getting the full Top Gun experience.
Thank you.
This weekend.
Because you've never seen Maverick, right?
Have you ever not even really sure how much of the original Top Gun that he's seen. Yeah. So we're watching the original Top Gun tonight.
Okay.
Tomorrow we're watching Maverick.
He's going to love Top Gun so much, he's going to want to throw in the second one right after the first one gets over. That's what's going to happen. Sean might be sleeping at that point, but
there's a lot going on tonight. The Cubs are on.
Are you going to wait till the Cubs game is over?
The NBA playoffs.
He's not watching the Cubs game.
Thank you.
He's not watching playoff
Just put it on your phone.
You're watching
turn it down.
Top Gun. That
yes.
This is Mother's Day weekend, and your mother.
That's true.
Top
No.
Gun is a part of this family, and I can't believe that we've ever let you slide this far without.
Seriously, I don't know who to blame more. I'm not gonna lie.
I know.
I'm gonna need a report though. I'm gonna need a report on how
Holy
this goes.
cow! Ryan hasn't seen Top Gun Maverick either. This is just insane. Like, what are you people doing with your life? Like, what has happened that is more important than seeing Top Gun Maverick in the last 2 years?
I went and saw it in the theater, and I've watched it at least 3 times on streaming.
We saw it twice. We saw it the first 2 weekends at the theater, and we've seen it at least 3 times on TV as well.
I'm going to throw out a fairly unpopular opinion, I think.
Okay. Ooh.
Joe Allen, I'm going to put it up here. He says he's going to fall in love with Kelly McGillis. I don't see it. I've never been. I always thought she looked like she was 20 years older than Tom Cruise.
There was an age mismatch. I walked out of that. Did you know that was Meg Ryan's first ever movie?
Really?
I walked out of that with a much bigger crush. You know, because it was in 1986. Much
100%.
bigger crush on Meg Ryan than
100%.
Kelly McGillis.
And it just got deeper with the Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan movies that and Billy Crystal for that matter. When Harry met, huge crush on Meg Ryan. Never understood the Kelly McGillis thing. Never. I don't know. Maverick did much better in Maverick, in my opinion, than he did in the original Top Gun.
Yeah. This is all going to be content next week. So
good.
Got nothing to worry about there. And I'll just tell you right now, there's going to be spoilers next week. So we're going to talk about Top Gun. We're going to talk about Top Gun Maverick.
Everybody better get it in if they haven't seen it. If you don't want,
find it this weekend.
Jesse, you're not going to know you have no idea what you're missing.
I think Salty was just activated.
Salty asks if Jesse was conceived during a Top Gun viewing. I will tell you this. I've said this before. I consider Top Gun one of, if not the best movie of the 80s. And I'm obviously not talking about winning Academy Awards and that kind of stuff. I'm talking about for long-term, lingering entertainment. Top Gun, I put it.
Yeah.
It holds up.
Yeah.
Like almost 40 years later.
Yep.
It is
still. Agreed.
It is probably the movie that I've seen the most in my lifetime. Top Gun.
I'm
going to watch it again tonight.
Right.
And I'm going to be entertained from start.
It's got the soundtrack.
Yeah.
It's got the cast. It's got the plot. And then Maverick just takes it to a whole other level.
Yep.
So.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for tonight. We're going to finish. Old man here is going to edit these podcasts and get the audio all up afterwards. And then we're going to dig in, and it's going to be a Top Gun kind of night in the sky.
Kind of jealous. I'm kind of jealous. I'm not going to lie. That sounds like a hell of a night.
Well, when we do the Rocky Marathon, you can we'll save some ice cream for you. Nice. So
yeah, Vince, you bring the Culvers and we'll just start this.
There you go. There you go.
Fast Times at Ridgemont High, good movie as well, but Top Gun is at the top of my list.
Fast Time's a good movie.
Yeah.
Top Gun's better.
I did want to mention, because somebody asked about this. Anthony, if Anthony is still here, he said, just curious, Pittsburgh is a buzz over the Paul Skenes.
We're not allowed to talk Cubs, so you got to take this one down.
He says, is this anything more than a blip outside of Western Pennsylvania? Jesse and I, were talking about this morning. You know who Paul Skenes is?
He's the LSU pitcher who's dating
dating
everybody wants to date.
You're feeding into it.
So there is apparently a conspiracy that the Pirates were waiting until Livy Dunn, his girlfriend, the gymnast, of course, from LSU, who's like the social media influencer darling.
Yes.
There's conspiracy theory that they were waiting for her to graduate from LSU so that they could show up together when he makes his debut. And
so is it a coincidence
she
that
just
graduation was a week ago?
Look.
And they're bringing him up against the divisional opponent during a matinee game on a Saturday. Those pieces don't just fall together for no reason.
Look, I'm not going to disagree with you, but is he that good that he's a pitcher who spent like 0 time in the minors? Is he that good?
He was mowing everybody down.
Okay.
So
he's basically got Steven Strasburg comparisons right now.
Yeah.
It
when
didn't end
Steven
well for
Strasburg
Steven.
was coming.
Led him to a national championship last year, and he's mowed
Right.
everybody down that he's seen in the minor leagues so far. So
All right, there we go. And
bigger
look,
conspiracy that the Pirates are cheap and they want to get an extra year of control. I mean, that's
That's what
fair
the Cubs did with
as
Chris
well.
Bryant.
Yeah.
and it worked out really well for him. So I have no
Yeah.
problem with that, and I have no problem with this. And look, it's no bigger conspiracy than Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce.
And that's
which I
what
think
my
is a
comparison
complete
was
sham.
too.
Right.
So there you go.
And, you know, look, like, is it a blip outside of Western Pennsylvania? Only as big a blip as baseball is anywhere.
Yeah,
I
it's
guess.
fair.
You know, like,
No
we
one
talked
cares about Mike
this.
Trout. So
Yeah, that's right.
And nobody cares about
How
the
much do they
Pirates.
care about? Yeah, a pitcher being elevated in the Pittsburgh organization. I think that when you package him with Livy Dunn, I think that's where the blip is right there.
And I don't care who she's dating. You package anybody with Livy Dunn, it'll be somebody that
Easy.
saying.
I heard that
Mother's Day weekend.
I heard that your podcast gets aired through the whole house. So
Yeah.
Yeah, they upstairs with the speakers on right now.
I'm just saying I know she's popular. That's all I said. I just know she's popular. That's it. Popular.
All right. Hit the like button before you leave. We appreciate you as always. Thanks for being here today. Had a fun one as always on the Friday 3-man show. Thanks for all the contributions in the chat tonight as well. Have a great Mother's Day weekend to all the mothers out there and to everyone else, who's, hopefully spending some time with moms or wives or grandmas or aunts or whoever it happens to be. Have a good one, and we'll talk to you Monday on IB Nation Sports Talk.